Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to the Pipe Report. So I'm in the process of making a video monologue. It should be uploaded either tonight or tomorrow sometime. I think you will like it. In it, I'm giving an award out to the most idiotic, the dumbest statement of 2017. This person, what she said, completely contradicts everything she stands for. I think you will like the video, but anyways, here is some, I guess you could say, breaking news. The Senate did confirm the new FBI director, Christopher Wray, which I find really interesting. For starters, I assumed that it would be highly politicized. I assumed the Democrats would obstruct him. And the primary reason why I think that is the case is because Christopher Wray was actually Chris Christie's attorney for the Bridgegate scandal. Now, for those who don't know, the Bridgegate scandal was that Chris Christie intentionally caused traffic jams over a bridge, and he did so to get back at the mayor who opposes him. The mayor was Mark Sokolich, I believe. So Chris Christie closed the bridge down, created traffic jams for political means. So I thought for sure the Democrats would assume Christopher Wray had allegiance to Chris Christie, who had allegiance to Donald Trump, and therefore Christopher Wray was biased toward Donald Trump. But it appears I was wrong on that. It does tend to happen. They actually confirmed him unanimously. So here is a short article. The Senate confirmed Christopher Wray, Donald Trump's nominee, to succeed James Comey as director of the FBI. The overwhelming vote was not particularly surprising. I would disagree, but apparently I was wrong, as lawmakers of both parties have lauded Wray's qualifications and abilities in recent weeks. See, that doesn't really make sense to me either, because look at someone like Judge Neil Gorsuch. Look at his qualifications. I mean, he was unanimously appointed to the federal circuit by the Senate in a unanimous vote. But after he was for Supreme Court, then all of a sudden he was an evil man. Then he was someone who placated the corporations and who didn't care about anyone except big donors. Judge Neil Gorsuch probably had one of the most numerous amount of qualifications to be a Supreme Court justice, yet he was attacked and he was obstructed exponentially by the Democrats in Congress. Yes, I know they were doing it for political reasons because of Merrick Garland, and my opinion on that is that they were following the Biden rule. The Biden rule was that in the late 1990s, Joe Biden made a speech that the president should not nominate someone for the Supreme Court during an election year, because during election years, the community and society in general are highly politicized, and it should not be done. It should be done when a new president steps in or when the old president gets reelected and gets nominated so he can make a new nomination. So Republicans followed that rule, but then Biden came out and actually opposed that rule that the Republicans were using, and then it caused this kind of big mess all over. It's kind of a cluster, and people were saying that it was the Republicans who were in the wrong here. And to be honest, they could have at least nominated him or let Merrick Garland go to a vote, because they would have voted no anyways. But I understand both arguments. I understand that they were following the Biden rule, but at the same time too, they did have to go the whole 9 yards, for lack of a better phrase. That means that if they're going to say, no, we're not going to nominate someone based on what Joe Biden said because it's election year, then we shouldn't even do the vote. We should just leave him hanging in limbo until the election is over, and then whoever wins can nominate who they choose. So I understand why they did it, but they also could have still nominated him and voted on him, which he would have been voted no anyways. But for the most part, I think that's what the Democrats used as their modus operandi for their obstruction against Neil Gorsuch, which I find kind of nonsensical, because Neil Gorsuch, he is a very, very qualified judge. And I think most of the Democrats saw it there as well. They were just trying to create some type of facets that they could use to say Judge Neil Gorsuch is a corrupt official, a bad guy, even though most of them, like 98 of them, voted yes for him to become a federal judge to begin with. So the hypocrisy there was definitely overwhelming. But I digress. Wray has been a partner in the Washington offices of King & Spalding since he left government service in 2005. Prior to entering private practice, he was Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division at the DOJ during the George W. Bush administration. He was among the DOJ officials that were prepared to resign, giving their ongoing discomfort with the Bush administration's domestic surveillance programs. Yes, Patriot Act, the biggest contradiction of everything this country is founded on. Our freedom, our liberty, and our individual rights. Patriot Act was a disgusting piece of legislature that was used at a time of turmoil when the people were scared for their futures. And as Ben Franklin said, those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither. And that's how I felt with the Patriot Act. The Senate Judiciary Committee unanimously confirmed his nomination after a fairly short and uneventful confirmation hearing. Beyond credentials, I believe Mr. Wray has the right view of the job, said Chuck Grassley of Iowa. Senator Dianne Feinstein, or as I like to call her, Comrade Feinstein, who is probably the most anti-gun person in the U.S., especially out in the Senate. I've done a past video when I first started this channel, basically showing her admitting that she would take everyone's guns away if she could, and she wouldn't have any remorse about it at all. She doesn't care about the Constitution, as long as the Constitution adapts to her needs, as long as her proclivities are met, as long as they are satisfied for her. She doesn't care about the Constitution. She only cares about her own self-righteousness. Where's I at? The ranking Democrat on the committee expressed confidence that Wray has the fortitude to maintain the FBI's independence and integrity. We need leaders with steel spines, not weak knees, and I am hopeful that Mr. Wray will be such a leader, she said. Wray assumes command of the FBI at a challenging time. The Bureau is still reeling internally after its investigations of former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton prompted allegations of influence peddling, and President's abrupt dismissal of Comey left career employees angry. Which I find funny. I mean, I won't get into that. I know during the election I covered it relentlessly, but Hillary Clinton was obviously guilty. Even when James Comey was doing his press conference, he laid out the whole structure. He laid out the format that would give any attorney general just cause to recommend charges and indictment. And then at the very end, he said, we couldn't find any intent. We couldn't find any intent. Well, ignorance of the law is not a defense. I can't go speeding on a 45 going 70 miles an hour and get pulled over and say I had no idea the speed limit changed. The cop will look at me, laugh, and give me a ticket. Just because I don't know I was breaking the law doesn't mean I'm exonerated from breaking the law. I understand why he did it, and I've said this in the past in different videos. The reason why he exonerated her was because it was common knowledge back then, not by people on YouTube, but by the corporate media, that Hillary Clinton was the next president. She was going to beat Donald Trump, and she was going to be the first female president and create history. But then Comey decided that he wasn't going to be the one to disrupt that process. Comey was not going to be the one to actually stop the first female president. And not only that, but recommending charges against the first female president. So I understand why he did it. But what I think he did by doing that is that he affected his own integrity. And Donald Trump had every right to fire him, because you cannot have someone as the FBI director who has no integrity, who doesn't follow the law accordingly, which Hillary Clinton broke the law. There was plenty of intent there, and even if there was no intent, ignorance of the law is still not a defense, and she used it as such. But in a nutshell, that is what we have. So, look for my new video coming up, hopefully today sometime. I think you will like it, and I'm done.